Joan Beringer is a lot better than anyone thought. This dude is a stud, putting up 11 points, 8 rebounds, 7 blocks, and 2 steals in just 23 minutes in his summer league debut, looking like one of the steals of the draft. He adds to a young core in Minnesota that already includes a ton of talent, and oh yeah, don't forget, they got Anthony Edwards and company coming off of 2 straight Western Conference Finals appearances. How did we let Beringer fall this far? The first thing that pops out to you when you watch the film is the defense. I mean, this is exceptional right here. Just absolutely got Misi, who is a second-year player, in a box. He's going to fight through this screen and get to his spot, and now he's in excellent position in post defense. As Misi tries to get to his spot, it just doesn't work out, and Beringer sends it back the other way. The Pelicans actually get the rebound. Jeremiah Fears brings it back in, and Beringer is going to send it back out once again and then take off down the floor. Here's the full clip. Go up and get it. He's got great athleticism, 7 foot with a 7'5" wingspan, so he can really climb the ladder and get to some big time shots that you don't think he's going to be able to, but he's also got great strength. Watch Misi try to go right through his chest right here, and Beringer just doesn't budge. He stays grounded, stays with his heels planted, and is able to go up and get this block and then go the other way. Now watch him in drop coverage right here, as I believe this is Antonio Reeves comes off this pin down, and he is going to play this perfectly. As Reeves tries to dry in, he takes it right in the chest and gets the deflection, which leads to a stop. Now Derek Queen's going to hit the spin move, and Beringer is going to volleyball spike it into the front row. That's a big time block. Fantastic anticipation, and that's rookie on rookie crime right there. Now watch him come over and help side as Queen once again tries to drive down the lane and get the block and then get another block. I mean, he is everywhere in the paint. The Pelicans literally can't score on him. He finished with 11 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 7 blocks like we talked about earlier. 9 stocks in your debut is just ridiculous. And then to add in the fact that he did it in 23 minutes is even crazier. Nice little push shot right there. Looking at the offense, for now, he's really just going to be an around the rim guy, finishing lobs, finishing dunks. But the Wolves reportedly wanted him so bad, they were going to try and trade up to get him, and it looks like it paid off, because I didn't have him nearly as high as the Wolves took him, but they saw something, and he was a beast. Now I know it's summer league, let's not overreact, but he looks like he could eventually be the heir replacement to Rudy Gobert in the front court for the Wolves. Of course, Gobert, the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, will be 33 this upcoming season, and while he's led the Wolves to back-to-back top 5 defenses, he's on a 3-year, $111 million contract and didn't really get it done in the playoffs. Didn't play up to that contract nearly as much as he should have in the playoffs. In the regular season, he averaged about 12 and 12 with 2 blocks in 33 minutes a game, shot 67% from the field and 67% from the line, but like I said, the regular season really doesn't matter if you can't get it done in the playoffs. In back-to-back years, he hasn't been able to. They also have an older Mike Conley, a couple of veterans here that they could be looking to move on from soon. Maybe Beringer can be that guy. Another guy they had to move on from was Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who goes over to the Hawks on a 4-year, $62 million deal. And if I'm the Wolves, yes, losing Nickeil is going to hurt, but he averaged 9.5 points and 3.2 rebounds in 25 minutes, shot 44% from the field and 38% from 3. He really made a lot of money by playing well in the playoffs. So, yes, he's a fantastic defender, but you know, you can't pay him $60 million if you're the Wolves. You just don't have the money. You had to essentially choose between Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They chose Naz Reid. As you can see, he had a big-time Western Conference Finals series, which got him a bag in free agency. He's 6'5" with a 6'9" wingspan, so they're going to miss the perimeter defense. They're going to miss all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you've drafted well lately. So, yes, while Nickeil Alexander-Walker came to Minnesota and kind of revitalized his career, it's going to be all right to move on from him at the end of the day, because you've got guys like Terrence Shannon Jr. and Jalen Clark, both of which are much younger, much cheaper, and can come in and replace him. Now, Terrence Shannon Jr. had a big-time Western Conference Finals series, and I was really excited by that. I thought he should have played a lot more. In Game 3, remember, he had 15 points, 2 rebounds, and a steal in just 12 minutes of playing time. He is a microwave scorer off that bench and can come in and immediately immediately replace the production that Nickeil Alexander-Walker takes with him to Atlanta. In games 3, 4, and 5, TSJ averaged 11.7 points, 1.7 rebounds, and 0.7 assists in 12.3 minutes, while shooting 53% from the field and 38% from 3 on 3 attempts. That is a fantastic stat line for a rookie, by the way. Remember, Minnesota outscored Oklahoma City in games 3 through 5. However, they had the 2-point loss, and Minnesota had a 40-point dub, so that's why it looks like that. TSJ played 32 games last year, averaged 4.3 points, 1.5 rebounds, and 1 assist in 10.6 minutes, 48% shooting from the field, 36% from 3, and Chris Finch has already said, look, he's going to have a much bigger role. It seems like the Wolves front office was comfortable with letting Nickeil Alexander-Walker walk because they had that man right there. Now, Chris Finch, he doesn't play the rookies a lot. And last year, Jalen Clark wasn't a rookie. He was a second-year guy, but Rob and TSJ were both rookies, so they didn't get as much PT. Now you've got 3 guys that legitimately can step in and take minutes in Rob, TSJ, and Jalen Clark. Rob at 6'3", only 176 pounds, so he is still very light, but he played pretty well in the Summer League the other day. They gave up 2 first-round picks for this dude. Remember, so they're going to have to get, or they're going to try their best to get their return on investment. 4.5 points a game, 2 assists, and a rebound on 44% shooting from the field, 34% from 3 for Rob this year. And when he was given opportunities, he balled out. He just didn't have the opportunity that the normal top 10 picks would get. He only played in 49 games, and in those 49 games, like we said, he only played 10.5 minutes. And part of that is because Chris Finch doesn't really like to play rookies. They got Mike Conley in front of him as well, and then Anthony Edwards played a lot of point guard in the playoffs. But I think for Ant to be at his best version of himself, I think he needs to be playing alongside of a point guard. Now, Jalen Clark, at 6'4" with a 6'9" wingspan, he stands at 210 pounds. Well, he stands at 6'4" and weighs 210 pounds. Said that backwards. But he played in 40 games last year, and he's the guy that can come in and replace Nickeil Alexander-Walker on the defensive side of the ball. 4.1 points a game, 1.7 rebounds, and 1 steal in 13 minutes a game. That's almost 3 steals per 36 minutes. Shot 47% from the field and 43% from 3, and he was just bullying the Pelicans guards in the Summer League the other day. It was fun to watch, honestly, because he had those dudes in prison, locked up, and Jalen Clark is going to be able to be a rotation piece. He was a rotation piece for them this year, but he'll be able to be one next year. Now they have all 6 of these guys under contract, locked up, and they're all 26 or younger. And then you add in Beringer in there, and they've got a really, really nice young core in Minnesota with some other role players as well. And like I said, they had to choose between Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Naz Reid. I think they chose wisely with Naz Reid because 6'10" guys that move like guards aren't really growing on trees. They're more common than they used to be, but they're still not growing on trees. 5 years, $125 million. And if you think that's an overpay, I think that's a little bit crazy because Naz Reid is going to be their starting center before long, or maybe their starting power forward alongside of Beringer, and those two in the front court could be lethal. Naz Reid averaged 14.2 points, 6 rebounds, 2.3 assists, and a block in 27 minutes a game last year. Shot 46% from the field and 38% from 3, and he did kind of disappoint me a little bit in the playoffs. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was going to have a much bigger series against the Thunder. Didn't work out that way, but, I mean, that's all right. And like I said, at some points, he will be the starting center next year over Gobert. We'll see how long it takes Beringer to replace Gobert just because he's much more athletic and much more versatile. But again, Gobert is a top 2 defensive center in the league right now. Maybe top 3 or 4. But they still have Julius Randle. They still have Jaden McDaniels. They still have Dante DiVincenzo. This Timberwolves squad is very good. And now they add in Beringer. Maybe he doesn't make an impact right away, but in the long term, he's going to be a nice running mate with Anthony Edwards. With that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to the like button. Leave me a comment down below and hit that subscribe button if you did enjoy at any point. We're looking for about 500 likes on today's video. And with that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video.